I know some of you love talking about Deion Sanders. Others of you cannot stand talking about Deion Sanders. And then there's probably a healthy middle ground where you're like, okay, I'll talk about him, but you better have something new to say. Well, the other night, I hinted at something that was happening, sort of a phenomenon within the phenomenon of the prime effect in college football, and I called it the Deion tax. And you're all paying it. Every one of you is paying it right now. Kind of a tax that's been placed on the entirety of college football. Now, I warned you about the Deion tax. I told you it was coming. Deion Sanders has been a massive blessing to college football. This is my opinion. You can think whatever you want to. Deion Sanders has been awesome for the sport. Now, I'm of the opinion that even if you don't like everything about him, you probably should still look at it and say, well, that's great. So much attention is coming in that otherwise wouldn't have come in. In fact, it's pouring in. It's not just coming in, it's pouring in. And especially if you're in my line of work, there's a reason why you don't hear anyone on my side of the fence over here complaining about Deion Sanders publicly, because he's making a lot of folks a lot of money, myself included. So I'll just be upfront with you about that. But there is a tax with that blessing of a lot of folks from outside the college football sphere coming into the college football sphere. There's also a curse attached to that. It's called the Deion tax. I told you the other night it was coming, and now it's on full display for all to see. The Deion tax is the people who otherwise would never care about college football caring about college football. You may think, Josh, that's not a tax. That's great. You're right. It is wonderful. I love it. I love it. I love it. But as Meemaw once said, those who know the least usually talk the most. And a lot of the kind of casual drive-by crowd that, to his credit, Deion's brought into the sport, they can't just come in and sit down in the back and learn the ropes. They got to sit in the front row and they got to start running their mouth. And it's happening. Colin is showing you right now a chart that is mind-boggling. We don't talk ratings on the show a lot because they don't impact you. They have nothing to do with you, even though you are what those are. Those are ratings. Colorado State, Colorado the other night was like a 10 p.m. kickoff Eastern time. It had 9.3 million viewers. It spiked in the 9 million range after midnight on the East Coast. Those are just ungodly numbers. Those are like high-level, like premier boxing in its prime did that kind of stuff. It's wild. Anyway, so obviously there are a lot of outsiders that care about this. Well, I told you this was coming, and now one example of it is happening. You probably saw Henry Blackburn's the safety for Colorado State that wiped out Travis Hunter. Lacerated spleen was the official injury. Travis Hunter's out for 3 weeks. It sounds like Carl Reed, by the way, Johnny on the spot getting that injury report earlier today. Coach Carl to me. And so he's out for a little while. Hate it. Should have been a 15-yarder, personal foul, which I believe it was flagged. I did not get on board necessarily with the let's send this kid to Guantanamo for the rest of his days to think about what he just did. Let's charge him with a Class A felony. I didn't get on board with all that. But there were some people who could not just stop it. That was a late hit, or that was a late hit and that was a dirty play. They couldn't stop there because that doesn't get you heard. Somebody had to step up and say, nope, that kid should lose his scholarship. That kid should be disqualified from college athletics. This was all included in a very popular tweet that was making the rounds from someone who you normally wouldn't hear speak a word about college football. So, in typical drive-by casual fashion, what you'll find in life and in sports is anytime there is clout to be gained by outrage, 9 times out of 10, the crowd that's outraged will be madder than the people who should be mad. Like Deion, Travis Hunter, those are the folks who should be mad in this case, right? So if I got someone thinking this kid needs to be kicked out of the sport and banned for life and DQ'd from college athletics, if he's that mad, my goodness, Director Colin, what does Deion think about this?
I'm saddened if there's any of our fans that's on the other side of those threats. I would hope and pray not, but that kid was just playing the best of his ability, and he made a mistake. So I forgive him. CU, our team forgive him. Travis he's forgiven him. Let's move on.
Well, that didn't quite go the way I thought. But you know what? Fair enough. Deion's not the guy who wiped out. Travis Hunter was the guy who got wiped out. So if one dude who wasn't on the field Saturday wants the dude banned for life, Travis Hunter and I would imagine he'd probably be dressed in a full giraffe outfit. I'm just going to guess. Travis Hunter had to have some strong things to say about this, right?
It's football, though. At the end of the day, stuff like that's gonna happen. So I just stay humble. I mean, hey, he did what he was supposed to do. It's football. Something bad's gonna happen on the field sooner or later. We just gotta get up and fight again. That's what I try to do. Get up and fight. Good thing the doctors stopped me, because if there was no doctors there, I would have still been out there playing. But I'm thankful for everybody that helped me that day. Yeah, boy, it's gonna be a speedy recovery.
Yeah, so that's sorry, I was yawning in the middle of that. It's not because of him, it's because that's predictably the way it's going to go. Credit Travis Hunter and credit Deion Sanders, because they could have gone the opposite way and fanned the flames of that. And what Deion was talking about was that safety for Colorado State receiving death threats, which is like the punk move to end all punk moves, because it's always done via the internet. Like, I know people in our, and let me give you a little heads up, by the way. If you're out there and you are one of the folks on the World Wide Web who creates burner accounts and issues death threats, I need you to know something. They know who you are. I'll give you an example. There is someone in my industry who was on the receiving end in the past couple of years, and I happen to know some of the inner workings. I happen to know that private investigation firms really geolocated pretty quickly the few burner accounts that it was issuing the threats. They know exactly where you are. They know what school you go to. They know what street you live in or what dorm you reside in. Now, they didn't choose to pursue them in this case, and so, they probably aren't even aware that they've been outed. You got outed. You need to be a lot more careful. Or alternate point of view here, alternate strategy, don't threaten anyone's life over anything, especially football. So anyway, back to the Deion tax. I got an approach that I'm going to try out this year. The Deion tax is new on us all. I love that Deion Sanders is here. I guess I'm going to have to accept the tax of the drive-by casual crowd that comes in and runs its mouth. But that is Deion's fault, but it's not Deion's fault. And so here's what I'm going to do. My approach is what we call the Buc-ee's protocol. If you've never been in a Buc-ee's, find one and go into a Buc-ee's. They got like 120 gas pumps out front. You can see it from space. And when you walk in, you hear this: "Welcome to Buc-ee's." They just yell. They yell at you. The front station attendants yell at you, and it's almost like a shock to the senses. And when I'm driving at night, it's really a wake-up call, because I'm groggy. I'm halfway asleep. I probably should have pulled over miles and miles ago, but I was trying to hold out for Buc-ee's. And so the Buc-ee's protocol is, it's like frog gigging in the South. Like, you take a 5 million candle power flashlight and you just, boom, shine it right in their eyes. And if it works on a bullfrog from 45 feet away, it will work on a drive-by casual. So no matter how negative they are, no matter how off the wall they are, here is my approach this year. Welcome to college football. I'm just inserting college football where Buc-ee's would be. That's the only difference in the Buc-ee's protocol and how I'm going to handle drive-by casuals. Because ultimately, while we may not be gigging frogs here, same strategy works. I'm not going to, peel their legs off and fry them and eat them. Instead, I want to take these folks and I want to introduce them to some other aspects of our sport. It's not just Colorado. It's not just Deion. This happens to be the greatest sport on the face of the earth. We know that. They don't know it yet. They could find out. Probably not best to be confrontational with these people. They're new here. It's a new land. They're just discovering it for the first time. They're scared. They're probably a little unsure of themselves. And so it's up to us to be the bigger man and the bigger woman and welcome them in. Also, you are going to see some of the most low-hanging fruit in society be utilized in the day-to-day takes on Deion and Colorado and whatnot. I think most of you understand what I'm talking about. I don't give it the time of day or dignify it on this show. And I would encourage you to do the same, although I know it's very hard when you see it right in front of your face. So yes, the Deion tax is here, probably to stay. I view it as a blessing. There is some downside to it, but we're going to take the downside in hourglass form, and we're going to turn it into the upside using the classic Buc-ee's protocol. And I don't normally beg for advertising on this show because Academy takes care of us, but if that Buc-ee's call ever came, it would be tough to send that one to voicemail.